Hey, GM everyone. It's our normal show here. Let's play Little Nouns. We got a great show tonight. We're going to go over our prop. We're going to talk about some nouns, current events. We are here sailing in this infinity symbol. We're going to talk about more about our prop. We're going to hit Hack MD. We're going to get started right after this. Index GM to you. How are you tonight?
GM, I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, not too much to say, I guess. Been kind of busy with real life. Trying to make good on my hot sauce proposal, I guess, for full transparency. So I've been spending a lot of work off the computer this past week trying to catch up on hot sauce production and business. But I'm here with you, ready to sail through the nounish seas and kind of again every week figure out like where we're going. Definitely infinite in many ways, but yeah, it's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, dude, it's great to have you here. As always, we want to just go over kind of the disclaimers. Not the show is entertainment. It's not financial advice, not legal advice. This is a true live stream adventure. We are sponsored by Little Nouns DAO. You can read all about the sponsorship at littlenouns.wtf/vote/116. We do like to say it was very difficult to get our proposal passed. How difficult would you say it was, Index?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't have been able to pass a proposal without your help. You're kind of like the Little Nouns expert, and you had spent I don't know how long building up a reputation, social capital, learning kind of the ropes of Little Nouns, and so yeah, I mean, intimately knowledgeable about nouns myself, but as far as Little Nouns goes, I think without you, it would have been impossible for me.
And we also worked hard, right? We had a good prop. We worked hard. It was a lot of work. We are coming to you now from May 31st. Current Little Noun on the site is Little Noun 7738. Nice little chocolate head with dope text just to sort of timestamp this. But for viewers who are new or not quite sure what's going on here, we got passed with 116. We have this prop, let's play Little Nouns. And the deliverable here is you and I are going on chain at Nouns with a prop TBD that we are still working on right now. And that's sort of the subject of this show, this episode. And we are kind of in the middle of sort of figuring out what is the shape of our prop. We've kind of run through a couple ideas so far, but we haven't really gotten anything to the point of being ready to share. And we're going to hopefully dive into that a little bit with HackMD later on, sort of the second half of the show. But you are at Madrowski on Twitter and Index Card. I am at Lil Panda WTF on Twitter. And before we get into sort of the building mode, we got sort of some current nouns news we wanted to cover, some stuff. And last week, you kind of on this show decided to kind of experiment with a Twitter poll for your Index Card vote on Prop 295. Can you share with us what happened?
Yeah, like kind of live on the show. This thought popped into my head, or it just came up out on the show. I don't remember if it was my It was probably my idea, but maybe my good helped or you helped. Um, and there was this thing called Twitch Plays Pokemon back in the day, where a Twitch chat would gather around in like a stream and input commands to control the game that was on the stream. And I think for actually quite a while now, I thought it'd be really cool if that could be implemented with Noun somehow. And it's probably a little too abstract, but this was kind of my first stab at trying to bring that idea to life, and that I let Twitter essentially control my Noun, not directly, because obviously I still have to input the vote myself here. This is not like trustless, I guess, as most people would like to say. But I let Twitter vote on Prop 295, which was the NFT Brazil prop. And I don't really know what I expected, but I got 135 voters, which I think is pretty good, considering I only have under 700 followers. A lot of views on the tweet, not as many votes, which is okay. But yeah, 69% for, which was kind of fun too, to get that meme number. And I input it on chain. So this Twitter poll controlled my Nouns vote. The prop still failed, but that's kind of okay. I experimented. I think it was somewhat of a success. I don't know what the next iteration of this idea is or concept is, but I think it was a success enough to maybe try some other things. What those are, I don't really know. I don't know if you have any ideas or anything, but I do think it would be pretty cool to come up with another step. In my mind, I always, I don't know, like reality, but have Twitter develop a proposal. I really have no idea how that takes place, but it would be amazing if, like, over the course of a month on Twitter, we could all like write a proposal together.
Yeah. Sort of a crowdsourced thing. I will say 135 votes on this by, I guess, 135 unique Twitter accounts. In the history of Nouns, voter props, that seems like probably pretty high in terms of votes that have ever been casted on a single prop. Do you think this is the most, or do you think there have been other props that have had collective votes in this range?
I guess, like, honestly, I'm like thinking about it. Is Twitter as like official as Snapshot and stuff like that, or like Nouncil Discord voting? I mean, I guess my immediate inclination is to kind of discount a Twitter poll as being as serious as a Snapshot or like a Discord voting system. But I guess in hindsight, if it's not on chain, then it's kind of in the same bucket to some extent. So maybe, yeah, this is kind of like a pretty high voter turnout, at least for a singular noun. And then if you combine it with the actual votes on the proposal itself, it may be the most. I don't know. But again, on chain versus off chain, I don't know how strict people look at this, but 135 is not bad. It would have been cool to have like 1,000, 2,000 or something. Probably easily botted in the future if you try this, but I'll take it as a first crack at the idea. I'll try anything once is the motto. It's a classic Jerry Springer quote from my college days. And I've carried it through to this day, but it's a little out there. I'll try anything once. So I'm trying to figure out what the next thing is. I don't know what that is, but I kind of like the idea of just having my noun do a bunch of random stuff. And then while we're looking at the index card and you're on mute, I'm just going to keep talking. But tomorrow is the year anniversary of the day that I created the index card head. And I would like to do something special for it. but I don't think I have the time to do it all. I'm up to 20. I was going to do an NFT drop of like 100 different index card variations. I think I'm at a folder of 20 right now. I don't think I'm going to get to 100. So that may
Could
have
you
to.
show them off? Could you bring them into Figma?
Let's try it out. There they are. That was actually really easy.
Whoa, here we go. All right. So number one here, top left, this is the canonical index card, right? This was the...
Yeah. I created it in Photoshop, and this is just like the first thing that came up on Playground was the great. I think it's Grayscale 9 body. I forget what the glasses are, maybe guava or like watermelon or something. And then the chicken accessory.
And then this is your double index card.
Yeah, index cardigan.
Card wearing the sweater.
Yeah.
Nice. This obviously is Where's Waldo index card. Oof, you got like a frowny index card here.
That's a mustache, like a imposter. This was a meme. I think when I was doing the composables, this was me waking up in the morning after like making traits all night on the computer. Just a funny one.
Oh man, some of these are great. Dark mode.
Yeah, it is. It's called dark mode.
I love Index Picard.
It's a classic one. Some of these are okay. I only have 20 though. I was trying to get to 100, but it's quite a bit of work.
Is this in a gold picture frame here?
It is a GIF, but I don't know if you can watch it. It's like a play on. I think I've showed it on the stream before actually, but it's a play on the Banksy like shredder when he put it up his work up for auction. So like the GIF shreds the index card.
Does it shred vertically or horizontally?
Vertically.
Interesting. I like that.
So yeah, I think. Well, I guess I can share my screen here. Window. Sharing now. I'll just play. If you can see it here on the stream. Yeah,
nice.
It is. Nothing crazy. I don't know why I won't play it twice, but here it is.
Cool.
Yeah, this is 3x5 head because it's got a larger forehead. This was obviously index card with an index card. These are all kind of nouns variations here. This is like noun 520, noun 316. I think this is a weirder variation here of 9999's nouns. I think it's noun 70. This is a little nouners noun. Sushi inspired noun from Amiyoko and Sebastian. My Miami Vice.
It almost looks like hair slicked over to one side.
I know, it's pretty good. I didn't create the sushi topping, but I kind of stole it. And then Paperweight, kind of like a composables one, but I think it was the one I made prior to actually doing the composables. So this was like the first mixed noun I did. But I'm at 20. I have to do 80 by tomorrow, which is very unlikely. I don't even know if I have 80 options.
Can we do a panda index? I've done one in the past.
I have done one. Let's see if I...
Or what about an infinite index?
I have it on my... I do have it on my list. Infinite Jersey one as an homage. I have ETH Panda somewhere. Let's see. Car memes. Don't really know where it is, but I have it somewhere. Oh. Here.
21, there you go.
Yeah. I think my problem is I have to like recreate it and then re-export it in a larger size to release it. But Yeah, that was from the merge. I guess it was the nouns meme to like have a panda with the Ethereum logo, and it was the closest I was willing to go to a panda.
Yeah, you put on the ears. Why not?
Yeah. So I'll drop this one maybe, but I just didn't get to it. I have more than 20 for sure, but 100 is kind of crazy. But I keep thinking in terms of 100 because of like a pack of cards. You're not going to get a pack of 50 index cards. You're going to get 100.
I mean, do you actually think you're going to get to 100 by tomorrow?
No shot. I don't know if it's possible. I know I think I have 50 in me, but I don't think I have 100. That's a little too crazy. You think it's better to do 50 than just go for the whole 100? Or just skip the whole thing?
Well, you're talking about having like 32 hours to complete this, right? Or less.
Like 24.
28 hours? 24?
16, 20.
So, I mean, to get to 100, you'd have to do... you'd have to do, what, 4 per hour-ish? No, 3 per hour, every hour without sleeping? I mean, that seems a lot.
The thing is, I do have a catalog of like old variations. So like per hour, I definitely could outpace that in the beginning. Once I get to 50, like I could probably complete another 20 in a couple hours tonight. But I got a late start. Heavy procrastinator. Let's come to learn. Not that I came to learn it. I guess I always knew it.
Well, and this is, just to be clear, this is the anniversary of you creating the index card. The anniversary of your noun is coming up too, right? Later, a couple months from now, or how long?
Well, the birth of my actual noun, 487, was in October. So there's quite a ways for that. When it actually made it into the project was on the noun anniversary as well. So, but I feel like the noun anniversary is kind of overshadowing. So I'll either go June 1st or October when I got my noun. But the other kind of fun thing I'm going to try to do tomorrow, and it's up to the mercy of the blockchain, but noun 730 will be minted tomorrow, kind of around this time, maybe closer to 9 o'clock. And if the blockchain allows it, I would like to mint an index card noun for the nounders. It's the closest I think you can get to gifting a noun to the nounders without actually just buying one and gifting them. I think that'd be a first, like an artist going, hey, I'm going to mint you the noun I created. So I think it'd be kind of fun. But then, of course, that means 2 index cards are in play.
Yes. And nounders vote pretty reliably. Not every time, but they're pretty solid voters.
The only thing is we have seen, it's rare, but nounders do sell their nouns off at times. And I don't know who would get control over this noun, but I know at least at some point the nounders will own an index card if I can make it happen. But kind of reliant on like RNG here a little bit.
RNG?
RNG? Like randomness?
Yeah. So what's your setup that you're going to use to try and mint it? Do you use Nomo or do you use Etherscan or what? Talk us through how you're going to do this or attempt this tomorrow.
Well, I think I haven't confirmed for sure, but I may pop on TNS 9 o'clock tomorrow and they may help out. But if I were doing it by myself, yeah, I'd be loading up Etherscan. The settle auction function, I think it's settle and create new noun. I don't remember the full function name, but I'd be loading that up and I'd be watching FOMO nouns.wtf like you're doing now. Just set my gas pretty high to make sure it goes through. And whatever it costs, whether it's like $50, $80, minting 2 nouns at once isn't cheap, but I think it'd be fun. We'll see. You know, you got to kind of hope that one pops up within the first few minutes or so. Not too common, but I'm hopeful. Because you need it to come up for when it's the nouner's noun, you can change this UI to show two nouns. And if it pops up as like the 731 noun, I wouldn't want to mint it. If it's got to be, there's got to be an index card and it's got to be the right one. And then hope it's not ugly, but if it is, whatever.
So you want just an aesthetic index card. You won't settle for an unattractive index card.
I think I would settle anything and just hope that it's kind of attractive. But if one pops up, I think I would just be hitting the button.
What's going on with this one here, with this yellow?
The yo shirt.
It's got like two arms.
I mean, they technically all have two arms, but you can really only see the one of them. But that is technically the other arm.
So that's the accessory that shows it like that?
Yeah, that's the yo shirt accessory, or whatever the full name is. I don't know for sure, but usually just yo shirt is what I think people call it. But if you've been following the 4156 kind of like nostalgia tweets recently, he's showing some of like the early nouns. And I'll see if I can get the image in here. Copy image, go to Figma. Make sure I'm on. I can go switch to my stream real quick. Oh, you already did. There we go. So you could see pit stain dead whale. So if you zoom in on the pit stains, he's got one pit stain here and then another pit stain here, as well as the sweaty collar. So you can't have a pit stain without a pit.
Interesting.
This pit stain, I really like the pit stains. It's kind of like funny, but I can see why it's not in the final collection.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump a little bit more. I wanted to talk about we talked about the verbs in sort of past episodes. Our big thesis here is Nouns as a game. It's this massively multiplayer on-chain role-playing game. And the verbs group with Alad and David are working on a big upgrade that includes Nouns Fork, which we've covered in the past, but a bunch of other things that are kind of potentially very consequential sort of new game modes for nouns. One that really stuck out for me was this sort of sudden death mode. That's what I called it for. Let's see, which one was that? Oh, maybe that was in this other tweet thread. But it's basically for props that got a sudden influx of yes votes in the last X period before the prop closed. It would trigger sort of a sudden death mode where the no side, the against side, could sort of recruit more votes to kind of defeat a prop after it had already passed. Yeah, anything stuck out for you, Index, or any thoughts on that?
I mean, kind of like mixed thoughts. I'm trying to pull up the more comprehensive document, but I don't know if I could find it this quick on stream. But I feel like now, like my initial inclination is that nouns is already so complex and confusing to outsiders, and even dynamic quorum is kind of complicated to grasp right away. Like a proposal could fail with more fors than against seems counterintuitive at first glance, and then to add this extra layer of complexity, my initial inclination is that it's just too much complexity on already a complex system. But I can kind of see where they're coming at as far as like a security measurement, but I don't know. It's definitely an interesting patch, and if it were to ever be implemented, voted on, and passed, and come to life, it would lead to maybe one of the most entertaining weeks in Nouns outside of a potential fork discussion.
Oh man, fork, super interesting. Yeah, also they're talking about migrating to a new treasury contract. That would be massive. I mean, I guess would there be a transfer of all the funds from the V2 treasury to the V3, or would sort of both be maintained? Either way, this would be a incredibly consequential change because treasury contract right now controls, let's see, 50, almost $53 million of value.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole NFTs not being part of the fork is really unusual too, because I guess specifically like the Little Nouns holdings will stay with the original DAO, but seems kind of crazy. And then I guess the one noun also, I forget, Nouns holds a noun now, so
Jello.
yeah, Jello. So that's kind of unusual, but I really don't know how they would have handled that otherwise. I think it was last Christmas or something. 41 was encouraging people to gift things to the Nouns DAO as like a token of appreciation, whether they had value or not. And so I think they're I don't know if anyone actually took them up on that kind of like recommendation, but there might be a bunch of random stuff people sent to the DAO. That's like the littles. I don't know how much is that, like 700 littles maybe or so. That's a lot of value and influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole two treasuries is kind of unusual as well. I'm not really sure how I feel about that yet. But if they feel that's necessary, then I guess that's the way it is. I really don't know.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting, I think, to see how this plays out because, of course, these patch changes have to be approved by the DAO, kind of per the current, quorum requirements. And when you're making these big sort of sweeping changes, like this fork, Nouns fork, there's a lot of moving pieces to kind of get the balance right. So we'll be watching that closely. Yeah, and as we sort of move into the second half of the show, I did want to highlight Wilson doing a ton of great work with voter.wtf. Really sort of seems to be increasing the votes with reason. I love his site, voter.wtf. This week we had 45.8% of votes that use vote with reason. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I have to admit, my last few votes have been without a reason, but I know every time I go, I feel some pressure to provide a reason. I don't always do it. I have done some reasons since taking back delegation, but I know specifically, like I was thinking about this in terms of the recent archives.wtf proposal that failed. And like voting with reason is kind of like a good way to archive moments in time for the DAO without having to do anything from a third party or have any sort of website. Like, so the more that people vote with reason, maybe kind of the more genuine and like effortless archives will be created for nouns outside of like Discord and tweets, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the more vote with reason, the better. It'll be kind of like a library.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean an on-chain library, on-chain forever. Yeah, I mean, also I think someone else made this point. I can't quite remember who, but it's really the only place that You can go to Twitter, you can go to Discord, you can, send out a cast on Farcaster, but when you put things on chain, you're going to get the most views. That's how you can sort of advance your whatever your goals are, your ideology, your views on a particular metagame or particular prop, whether that be for or against. Voting with reason is really sort of the battlefield of ideas. It's sort of the canonical, I don't know, canonical. I mean, if we put this in the game context, how would we put this index? It's like the canonical record.
I don't know. In a game context. Well, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question. I'm thinking of it probably. My first thought is in terms of like the builder meta. Even though I have trouble using the term builder, I say it every time I say builder. I have trouble saying builder, but here I am saying builder. Like it's a really important step for a builder to get a prop on chain, whether it passes or fails. And I know a lot of the topic in Little Nouns is about, should we put a prop on chain through Littles? Should we not? And should we only put ones that succeed? And it's like, how do you know it's going to succeed or not, until it actually goes on chain? And even if it fails, we know there's quite a meta of props that go up once, get really good, valuable feedback, come back a second time, succeed, and both parties are kind of fairly happy. And I feel like those props tend to actually have quite a strong reputation and attachment with the DAO, and people really get behind it and kind of want to see it succeed when they have that healthy first fail. And so in terms of a game, I don't know, it'd be like trying to grind away on your skills for a quest, and then you go like do the quest and you find out that like either you're overpowered or like you weren't quite preparing as well. I don't know if that's a good analogy for a game. I always come back to like RuneScape, where you're grinding your levels, you think you need all these items in your inventory, or like you stack like 20 health potions in Pokemon and then you end up never using them by the end of the entire game. Whereas you just gotta sometimes you just gotta go on chain. I think I may have meandered quite a bit on that one, but that's what I do. We're live here with a new noun. Ooh, greasy cherry. That would have been a good one. You gonna vote for the next noun? Click it. Business cookie. Probably on mute at some point too for this, if you can.
Oh yeah, shoot! I thought I was talking. So if we see an index card here, should we upvote it?
No. I want to mint it tomorrow.
What if it was like just a beautiful index card?
I don't know. It's tough, but at some point, someone's going to own another index card. So whatever.
Yeah, I feel like the TNS crew might love to mint an index card.
I don't know. There's been a few that's popped up that are kind of cool looking, but I think tomorrow would be nice if I can get luck of the draw here on the chain. I don't know why I have the desire to mint them an index card, but just fun. I don't know.
Yep. So yeah, I originally pulled this up here, nouns.wtf. I've connected my, let's see, I'll connect my wallet here, hot.lowpanda.wtf. I'll go to DAO, and I have no votes. I cannot propose. So, yeah, we need to unlock this game mode for our proposal. What does it take? Is it 2 nouns still?
Yep, still 2 nouns for now. Actually should go in and try and do the math and we have two proposals in the past that kind of like you can use as guidance, but I don't know when it switches over to 3, if it does. Should definitely be looking into that. Something I don't know off the top of my head, and I'm embarrassed to admit.
I think at 1,000 nouns. I think at about 300 if it's not changed in the meantime. Well, let's show everyone how to do that. So I'm at nouns.wtf. I can click on a proposal, go here.
That's not going to be a good one because that's a multi-sig. What you could probably do is kind of the Nounlius versus Will.
Yeah.
Props 293, 294. You could see those.
Okay. All right. So this is the Nounlius. So what do I do here?
Well, you can go to the transaction there. Oh, you're at the. Just go back to the front end view real quick.
Yep.
Scroll down, scroll down. That transaction right there. There you go.
Okay.
So that's the contract that controls this part of the process. So go to the contract. See, I'll follow along with you to help you. Yeah, and then you would write as proxy. And you can see all the functions that can be had here. And the one parameter that we would be like monitoring or tweaking in the case of these proposals is set proposal threshold BPS. I think it's the 9th function. And so Nounlius's prop wanted to set it to 9. And I think the other prop wanted to set it to 30. And
in fact, it's at 20, right?
Pull up the contract real quick. It's 25 right now.
Gotcha. Okay, well, in proposal 294 here, it does say at the time of this proposal, it's down 707. The proposal would be 3 at now 1,000. So assuming this is correct, then yeah, we've got until now 1,000 before we need 3. But right now we just need 2. That is the current law of the game.
Yeah. So we got some time, but it's an interesting point because we really only have direct access to one noun, my noun. And so even if we do have a proposal, we have the idea, we got it written out, we couldn't put it on chain right away. We would have to find some way to get it on chain.
Yep. So yeah, to get on chain, we first have to have a proposal. And so let's use the last part of the show to sit here in HackMD and kind of go over what we did before. We had called this prop 3XX, thinking that we'd be in the 300s. We are correct. And so as of now, we've got how many? Current prop up is 301, so we've got to get in the next 98 props to be able to still be 3XX. I think we're on track for that.
I think so. Otherwise, we probably would never talk to each other again if we couldn't get it
Yeah,
done in 99 props.
yeah, we want to get this thing done. Geez, what would be the best number in the 300s to do? Would it be like
333,
333? 314 would be
3,
good.
311.
311.
I do like 314 though. 3.14, 159, 265,
Exactly.
35, 8979, 323, 462. I kind of like lost it there, but I know a little more than
Oof,
that.
that's a
3.14,
stretch goal,
159,
man.
265, 35, 8979,
That's
323,
11 props away. Oof.
333 is okay. Prop 333.
Yeah, we can leave it like that at the moment. Let's see what we got here. So we've kind of got top level. Nouns is an infinite game. Cars. Need to explain this better. We're building an alt front end. We have this domain, nouns.game. Beautiful. Right now, if you check it out, you got this floating nouns and infinite MMO CRPG. Join our Discord. So we've got that. Let's see. Got this NFT. We need maybe an infographic. We've talked about sort of two kind of different ways of kind of pricing this or thinking about it. And one way is sort of like a 3 to 4 months plus reasonable ETH comp greater than lil nouns prop 116. And then we've also got this idea of like getting something on the board. It's an easy win. We kind of go back and forth, but I think these are sort of the two pricing strategies we have. Is there a third, or are these kind of the two main ones?
I think that's pretty much it. Like our expectation with 116 was definitely to get the ball rolling and then to grow from there and kind of expand our scope. And with that, or like a scope ambition, with that, maybe payment. And then I guess coming from me is probably option B, is that we promised on 116 that we put a prop up and we would document it. And so there's something kind of alluring to me about completing that task. And maybe that means like a smaller scope, but and then treating kind of like, instead of 116 being our first prop and then this nouns out prop being like the expansion, this prop is kind of like our starter in nouns, and then we have an expansion in the future, which is kind of like an alluring option as well, because it leaves the door open for more growth in the future at nouns. But yeah, either one is okay, I think.
Yeah, for most of this process, I think I've been more focused on A, but we've both got to be on board with it, and we might come up with something just so good for B. But we don't have to do that now necessarily. I think what I'd like to get maybe this week is sort of some kind of document that we can send around for feedback more than just like DMs where we explain it. And so for this version, let's see, is there anything here that sticks out that you think we should expand or take off, or what's your kind of live reaction of what we got here? I like this graphic, man. Really beautiful graphic.
Yeah, I feel like that's our best asset here on this prop is the graphic, and I haven't even touched it in a while. That was like a stroke of genius one night, and then I haven't been back since. But I guess the tricky thing too with the graphic is that it maybe gamifies it too much and kind of misleads people. But I don't know. That's kind of something we'll have to figure out. I feel like it's kind of almost.
It does look like a front end. I mean, it doesn't look like a video game typically. Yeah. I mean, it's got the noggles up here. It's got the font.
I do think some extent, like you really like the infinite kind of aspect of everything. And I think in some ways it's like when you're trying to give a dog medicine, you got to kind of like hide it in some food. You get them in with like a more digestible gamified version, and then you kind of slip in the infinite aspect and kind of like it's almost kind of like proliferating nouns. Like Chris Carella has been talking about it a lot at Purple, how they run a nounish DAO, but they're not necessarily fully on board with nouns at the time or right now. And so like I kind of see the same thing. Like you get them in on the game, and then you kind of slowly pill them on the infinite aspect, just kind of like you would on nouns. But obviously the infinite thing is what started this whole prop.
One thing I think we could do a bit, maybe in an image, is to sort of highlight the different meta games. Like there's noun 12, who's the beer noun, and there's Budweiser, and there's this kind of public good IPA beer. I'm interested always in sort of the beer meta and kind of how that plays out, but there's a bunch of other metas. And I don't know, could we visualize that somehow? Let me see.
Probably. Another thing I was thinking, like as we were talking with the like James P. Carson's Infinite Games, is he's got like, and I know you have that chart of, I don't know, what is it, like 8 or 10 kind of core principles of an infinite game. And I don't know if it'd be valuable to kind of like reread those and see how we can introduce those in a nounish way.
Are you talking about this thing?
Yeah, like the goal is to keep playing, kind of that sort of thing. To have others play along with you or whatever. I forget how exactly he says it.
Yeah, dramatic.
Yeah, involve participants. Yeah, like how can we build a front end that speaks to these principles closer? Like our goal here is to involve participants. So how do we do that? I don't really know. But yeah. I mean, we know the rules and boundaries are flexible for sure. We've seen that live here.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, there's nobody who's won at nouns. And even some people who you might look at them and say that maybe they lost this prop, but they're still going. Let's see. How could we take some of these, throw them in here? Oops. Let's go to the alt front end.
I mean, again, this may be a little too abstract for now, but this is a kind of like, you're feeding the dog the medicine. You got to kind of gamify it, make it fun, and then you can kind of sell them on the infinite principles.
Okay, so let's do then like a graphic with a beer, like noun 12, show the beer metagame, and then maybe another. What's another kind of metagame you think we could represent somehow?
I don't know. Is voting with reason too broad for you?
No.
The metagame. I mean, there's so many going on in Lils right now, but I'm trying to think of like a very easy one.
I mean, like public goods broadly.
Yeah, there's a big public goods camp coming up.
Or there's like the on-chain society, kind of noun 40s thing. What's one that's visual? Let's see. I think we can get, I don't don't know, like maybe an infographic with three images. What else would look good here? What else do you think? What's sort of a meta game that we could represent with an image here next to the beer noun?
I mean, this is kind of like the metagame you brought up. I don't know if I follow noun 12 as closely.
Well, what I mean by that is like what nouns can become. So like, for example, I know there's one prominent noun or who sort of sees it as like a club, you know, like a membership, an exclusive elite club. Like that's what they want nouns to be. Then there are others, like say Will Papper, who's very clearly playing the kind of public goods meta. He's like, you know, nouns exists to proliferate public goods.
Then maybe I have to admit I don't know if I know noun 12's. I don't know if I've cracked the noun 12 meta then.
Well, no, what I mean by this is what I mean by this is beer. Is the beer is the meta. He's adopted this beer character. There's the Budweiser noun, the Budweiser Super Bowl prop, and then there's just other kind of beer projects where, like during Hack Week, he cast his Hack Week votes for the Public Goods Beer IPA, and all of a sudden that one got a bunch of votes, and I looked, and then I was like, oh, noun 12, of course, the beer meta, Clearly, it sounds like I've got to do a better job explaining this.
I think I know, but I don't know if I have a good like graphical representation of this right now. I'm trying to look at like alternatives, but what I do think like graphically we can, and I got to start using that Twitter account a little bit more, which is probably why you weren't that excited about it, because you knew the reality of maintaining a Twitter account. But maybe visualizing some of these new verbs proposals in like an easy to understand way. Like why is there no visualization to theirs? I think they may have some here and there, but I don't know.
They did have some in the fork, and they do have some in the dynamic quorum, but they're not very accessible.
Yeah, I mean, so that is kind of like an idea I have in my hopper. The meta, I have to think about the metas a little bit more, because it's also tough to comment on like specific. It's easier to comment on like the rules of the game than specific people or meta,
Well, let's maybe do it this way then, as we sort of close out the show. If I pull up nouns DAO, I'm gonna go to DAO. I'm gonna go all the way back down to 1. Right, proposal 1 was this donate 5 ETH to 6 charities by the Nounders, Coral Restoration Foundation, Freedom of Press, Internet Archive, Rainforest Foundation, Tor Project, Give Crypto. So this would be like, the meta here is like, this is a prop that says that nouns is a proliferator of public goods. This is like the classic kind of public goods. We should use the treasury to fund public goods. We should, restore, do the Coral Restoration Foundation. We should support freedom of the press, that sort of thing. But it's clearly like that. That's what this prop is. It's for that public goods meta. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, prop 1. Everyone kind of knows Prop 1 was a charity prop, and it was I mean, I wasn't active. I was around the DAO actually at the time, but very, very like third party participant, if you could even call it that. So I don't know what the conversation around it was, but I imagine it was to like set the tone for what the DAO should be moving forward.
Yeah.
This was like kind of like setting the meta from the very get-go.
And then as we move forward, like go to proposal 2 here, 3D nouns generator. Yeah, in a way, this is a public good, but this is also like, hey, let's take the art of nouns and let's extend it using, let's build new 3D files. So I guess, yeah, that is sort of a public good, but not sort of in the same way. But let me find something else here that's kind of a totally different meta.
Interesting. If you click through on that like donation, it takes you back to one of the like original tweets from 41. I'll drop it in. It's kind of fun to read. Switch over to my Figma real quick. How do we feel about trying to pass the first on-chain governance proposal this week? It would be nice to stretch our legs, feel out the lack of governance infrastructure, and demonstrate to the community how the ecosystem works. I'm wondering if there's something non-contentious that we can pass with a unanimous vote. What a different time. It's crazy. But really, like, actually kind of insightful.
Yeah. And like not that many emoji reactions. Of course, there were very few nouns to vote at that time.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I feel like I want to go in and dive in on this time period, and I've read a lot of this stuff already, but I might have to go back and read more.
Yeah. Okay. So but let me show you here. Prop 33. This is sort of the beer meta. So this is like, hey, nouns is interesting. Beer is interesting. Let's kind of merge the two. Let's buy the beer noun for Budweiser and get nouns in the Super Bowl commercial. So not a public good, right? A private beer company, but voters who voted yes for this, sort of are riding this beer meta. Totally different kind of vote, right? Not a public good. Totally different thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there any other? I guess we have that beer now, that public goods beer, but that wasn't through any sort of proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the charity, yeah, the beer garden thing, if you remember that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like the beer is the only one. I'm just saying there's a bunch of different kind of metas. There's like, should we build like food type stuff, things that are consumable? So there's coffee. There's that restaurant in Sydney.
NFT events meta, apparel meta, I guess. Just reading off your screen, meta. But yeah, the esports.
There's public software, like all the prop house proposals. Those are sort of public goods, but they're also kind of like, hey, nouns should build software, right? That's kind of a separate meta.
It's like an interesting meta too is the SubDAO meta.
Yes.
We haven't seen it too much, but when we do, it's pretty intense. Like how much back and forth between the SubDAOs and the main DAO there should be, how much support, funding, etc. That big NARS prop, and then also like the whole littles in the treasury kind of thing. There's a lot to dig into on the SubDAO side.
Yep. So we've got a task ahead of us coming up here. Yeah, in the next couple of weeks, I think we got to get something up out to voters, out for feedback. We're going to, I'm sure, do some feedback sessions here on stream. But yeah, I feel like we're kind of over the halfway mark and we're ready to really kind of get on, get our prop out there, see the shape it takes, and then take y'all through the process as we get on chain towards finishing up here this season of Let's Play Little Nouns. Yeah, Index, we can all follow you here at Madrovsky. I'm at Lil Panda WTF. We are here every Wednesday at the start of the block day at 2400 UTC, which is 8 p.m. Eastern. We're here on YouTube, we're here on Twitch, and we're here on Twitter every Wednesday night. Shout out here to Aniello. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Index, do you have any closing thoughts here before we put this episode to bed?
Not really. Index card creation anniversary tomorrow. Come celebrate with me. Hopefully we'll see a new index card go to the Nounders. Maybe I'll have 100 index cards due, but probably not. And see you next week. Hopefully with some feedback and a prop again.
Hey,
Fingers
awesome.
crossed.
Thanks for joining us. As always, thanks for watching. We'll be back here next Wednesday, a week from today. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Thanks, everyone.